toughest opponents you had to go up against?
Toughest? Other than that, I really didn't have, what you think? I ain't really had too many people.
When Allen Iverson speaks, the basketball world leans in. This is the man who crossed up Michael Jordan, carried the Philadelphia 76ers to the 2001 NBA Finals, and inspired a generation of players with his fearless style. Iverson faced legends of every mold: Shaquille O'Neal's sheer dominance, Gary Payton's suffocating defense, and Tim Duncan's surgical consistency. So when he was asked, who was the toughest player you ever faced? Fans expected names like LeBron James or even Bruce Bowen, the notorious defensive stopper. But Iverson didn't hesitate. He looked back on his career and chose one name with absolute certainty: Kobe Bryant.
It was tough with Kobe because you had to come with.
Late Kobe Bryant wasn't just another superstar, he was the embodiment of obsession, detail, and relentless self-belief. Drafted straight out of Lower Merion High School in 1996, the same year Allen Iverson was taken with the #1 pick, Kobe entered the NBA as a wiry 17-year-old with flashes of brilliance and the audacity to think he belonged among grown men. His rookie year was uneven. He famously airballed shots in a playoff game against Utah, but that failure became fuel. From the very beginning, Kobe revealed the trait that would define his entire career. He refused to let a setback break him. Funny how Kobe said Allen is a lot to deal with too.
He was a load to deal with, man.
What separated Kobe wasn't just raw talent. Plenty of players had athleticism, height, and shooting ability. Kobe weaponized those gifts with an almost unhealthy obsession with improvement. Teammates and opponents alike recalled stories of his tireless work ethic. He would show up to practice hours before anyone else, sometimes shooting thousands of jumpers before a team workout. He studied film relentlessly his own, his teammates, his rivals, even tapes of past legends like Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon. Iverson himself once admitted that Kobe's edge came from preparation. No matter how hard you trained, no matter how deeply you studied, Kobe had gone further. In everything he said to Allen, "You don't realize how much you pushed me?"
I mean, this weekend I said, man, you don't realize how much you pushed me.
Standing 6'6", with an explosive first step, impeccable footwork, and the ability to create separation in tight spaces, Kobe could score from anywhere on the floor. His mid-range game was poetry in motion, high-arcing fadeaways, jab steps, and pivots that mirrored Jordan but carried his own unique sharpness. Unlike some stars who leaned on natural ability, Kobe dismantled opponents systematically. He identified their weaknesses, manipulated defensive schemes, and forced defenders into situations where they had no winning option. Guard him tight, he'd drive. Give him space, he'd pull up. Send help, he'd split the defense or kick to a teammate. But facing Kobe wasn't just a test of skill, it was survival against someone who treated every possession as life or death. Iverson knew this firsthand. He thrived on speed, creativity, and attacking bigger players head-on. But Kobe was never the type to fold under pressure. He relished it. Every possession was a duel where Kobe tried not only to score, but to impose his will on the entire game. For Iverson, there were nights when even his most dazzling plays felt small in the face of Kobe's all-encompassing control. The remarkable thing about Kobe was his transformation over time. Early in his career, he was the young phenom riding shotgun with Shaquille O'Neal, a fearless scorer who sometimes leaned too heavily on raw talent. But after the Lakers dynasty fractured in 2004, Kobe carried the weight of proving he could lead on his own. Those years, often criticized as selfish or turbulent, hardened him into the version Iverson would later call his toughest challenge. A complete player who combined athletic brilliance with unmatched discipline. For Iverson, battling Kobe wasn't about going against someone more skilled. It was about going against someone who mirrored his own fearlessness but multiplied it with preparation, length, and relentless pursuit of perfection. That combination made Kobe the nightmare matchup. The kind of player who forced you to not only bring your best, but also find another gear you didn't even know existed. What made Kobe Bryant truly terrifying wasn't just his physical gifts, it was his mentality, the infamous Mamba mentality. That phrase, now immortalized in basketball culture, described more than a catchy slogan. It represented Kobe's philosophy, an unshakable confidence, an obsession with preparation, and a refusal to accept defeat. He was ruthless in pursuit of excellence, and that mental edge often broke opponents before the scoreboard ever did. Kobe thrived on psychological warfare. His trash talk wasn't theatrical, it was surgical. He studied players so thoroughly that he knew what buttons to press. Some nights, he would remind rookies that they didn't belong on the same floor. Other nights, he would stare down seasoned veterans, daring them to outlast him in a battle of wills. Unlike many players who relied solely on physical intimidation, Kobe weaponized his mind. He forced players to question themselves. And in basketball, that sliver of doubt could be fatal. Allen Iverson, who built his entire career on fearlessness, admitted that Kobe was one of the few who could match and even surpass him in mental toughness. Iverson attacked the rim without hesitation, weaving through defenders and challenging giants. But Kobe wasn't rattled by chaos. He absorbed it, adapted to it, and used it to fuel himself. If Iverson brought speed and creativity, Kobe countered with adjustments, defensive shifts, better positioning, or offensive counters that neutralized what Iverson thought was working. Every time Iverson thought he had cracked the code, Kobe rewrote the rules. This constant chess match created a weight in every matchup. Players often spoke about Kobe's aura, that invisible pressure you felt just sharing the floor with him. It wasn't superstition, it was the product of years of proof. You knew he was going to outwork you, outthink you, and outlast you. You could prepare all week, but when the lights came on, Kobe was still the one dictating the tempo. His mental edge showed up in clutch moments. Time and again, he thrived in hostile arenas, sinking daggers with thousands rooting for his failure. Whether it was in Portland, silencing the Rose Garden, in Boston, battling chants of hatred, or even in Philadelphia, his own hometown, where boos rained down, Kobe remained unshaken. He lived for the pressure, for the tension that made lesser players shrink. What Iverson respected most was that Kobe never allowed complacency. Against other opponents, Iverson could rely on his ability to surprise, to improvise, to catch defenders off balance. Against Kobe, there was no such comfort. Every possession demanded focus, because if you slipped even once, Kobe would punish you. In essence, Kobe forced Iverson to look into a mirror that reflected not just fearlessness, but fearlessness amplified by discipline, detail, and cold-blooded execution. That was the true terror of Kobe Bryant. He didn't just challenge your body, he attacked your mind. And once he had control of that, the game was already his. The duels between Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant never had the polished marketing narrative of Celtics versus Lakers, but they told the story of an era defined by grit, fire, and an unshakable will to win. Both men entered the NBA in 1996, both teenagers carrying the weight of impossible expectations. Iverson was the fearless underdog, standing just 6 feet tall but attacking the rim as if gravity owed him a favor. Kobe was the relentless perfectionist, a 6'6" guard from Lower Merion High School who modeled his game after Michael Jordan but carried the swagger of someone intent on surpassing him. Their paths collided most famously in the 2001 NBA Finals. Iverson's Philadelphia 76ers were massive underdog. His team was built around bruising defenders like Dikembe Mutombo and role players who thrived on hustle rather than star power. Across from them stood the Los Angeles Lakers, a juggernaut led by Shaquille O'Neal in his prime and a 22-year-old Kobe Bryant, who was beginning to emerge as Shaq's equal, not his sidekick. Game 1 of those finals remains one of the most iconic nights in NBA history. Iverson, with the weight of Philadelphia on his shoulders, exploded for 48 points on the road, carving through double teams, defying size mismatches, and carrying his team to an improbable victory. His step-over of Tyronn Lue in the closing minutes wasn't just a highlight, it was a declaration. For a fleeting moment, it looked as though Iverson's sheer willpower could topple one of the greatest dynasties the league had ever seen. But if Game 1 was Iverson's night, the rest of the series belonged to Kobe. Over the next 4 games, he averaged 24 points while hounding Iverson defensively and making critical plays in clutch moments. In Game 2, with Shaq limited by foul trouble, Kobe shouldered the burden, drilling mid-range jumpers, attacking the rim, and silencing the Philadelphia crowd. It was the night Kobe transformed from Shaq's co-star into a co-leader of a dynasty. By the time the series ended in 5 games, the Lakers had their second straight title, and Kobe had left no doubt that he was more than just along for the ride. For Iverson, that series was bittersweet. He had proven his heart was unmatched, but he also realized firsthand the immovable force of Kobe Bryant's will. Iverson later admitted that no opponent made him dig deeper into his bag every possession the way Kobe did. Their rivalry extended beyond the finals. Regular season meetings between the Sixers and Lakers always carried a little extra charge. Iverson attacked with blinding speed and fearless creativity, while Kobe countered with deliberate footwork, patience, and surgical precision. Their matchups weren't just basketball. They were art forms colliding, each pushing the other to innovate and evolve. Even in all-star games, where most players coasted, Kobe and Iverson turned exhibitions into battleground. In one all-star showdown, Kobe picked Iverson up full court, treating the contest as though a championship was on the line. For Kobe, there was no such thing as meaningless minutes, and Iverson responded in kind. These battles defined their era not because they were packaged for television or written into NBA lore, but because they embodied the sport's essence, competition at its purest. They were clashes of style and substance. Iverson's audacity against Kobe's precision, speed against patience, improvisation against preparation. Fans who witnessed those duels didn't just see basketball games. They saw lessons in resilience, respect, and the price of greatness. For Iverson, Kobe wasn't just another opponent, he was the one who forced him to empty the tank every time. And for Kobe, Iverson was the rare rival who brought out his full arsenal. Together, they defined an era where every possession was a battle, and every battle left a mark on history. When Allen Iverson revealed that Kobe Bryant was his toughest matchup, it carried the weight of lived experience, not just a hot take. This wasn't about highlight reels or statistical dominance. It was about respect, the kind forged in sweat, scars, and survival on the hardwood. Iverson had faced every great of his generation. The unstoppable force of Shaquille O'Neal, the unyielding fundamentals of Tim Duncan, the length and fire of Kevin Garnett, the aerial artistry of Vince Carter, and the smooth scoring of Tracy McGrady. Yet, when asked who pushed him further than anyone else, Iverson didn't hesitate. He said Kobe. Gilbert went extra to reveal why Kobe was so special.
You would never find Kobe because he didn't have big hands. He wasn't quick. He wasn't fast. 38-inch vertical.
That single admission rippled across the basketball world because it wasn't a media-manufactured rivalry. It was the truth, spoken from one warrior to another. Iverson, who built his identity on fearlessness, rarely gave ground in his words or his game. For him to recognize Kobe as the toughest test meant Kobe had earned a level of respect few ever did, and Iverson wasn't alone. Legends across eras confirmed the same. Kevin Garnett, whose intensity was legendary, once said Kobe had the ultimate killer instinct, a focus so suffocating it could unsettle you before the opening tip. Tracy McGrady admitted that Kobe's relentlessness set him apart, even among elite scorers. LeBron James, who carried the torch into the next generation, often referred to Kobe as his measuring stick, the player he studied obsessively, the one he needed to surpass to claim greatness. Even Shaquille O'Neal, who shared one of the most volatile partnerships in NBA history with Kobe, consistently underscored Kobe's unmatched drive. Shaq would tell stories of Kobe staying in the gym until midnight, working on the same move hundreds of times, demanding perfection from himself long after practice had ended. For Shaq, a man who dominated with sheer size and power, to point out Kobe's work ethic as the separator says everything. Shaq remembered when Kobe earned his respect.
I said, Kobe, there's no I in team. And Kobe said, I know, but there's an in me in that motherfucker.
Iverson's words add the other half of the story. Shaq saw Kobe's preparation, while Iverson felt its consequences under the brightest lights. What players remembered most wasn't just Kobe's skill, but his psychological edge. Opponents talked about the way his eyes never wavered, the way he dissected your game until there was nowhere left to hide. Facing Kobe wasn't about guarding a single move, it was about surviving an avalanche of counters and counters to counters. He didn't just want to beat you, he wanted to break your will. Iverson, who prided himself on his own defiance, admitted Kobe was the one who made him rethink what fearlessness truly meant. The respect Kobe commanded went beyond his generation because he sustained his dominance across decades. He clashed with Iverson as a teenage phenom in the late 90s, conquered the 2000s alongside Shaq, then reinvented himself as the leader of back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. Along the way, he tested every rising star, humbled veterans, and set an uncompromising standard. Iverson's respect came from personal wars, but the broader fraternity of legends shared in it. Recognizing that Kobe wasn't a comet flashing across the sky, he was the storm that never left. In the end, what makes Iverson's respect so powerful is that it strips away the noise of numbers and accolades. It reminds us that greatness is measured not by how easily you win, but by how fiercely your rivals remember you. For Iverson, every drive that ended with Kobe contesting, every possession where Kobe forced him into adjustments, every night where he thought he'd done enough only to see Kobe smiling, ready for more, those memories define respect. Respect among legends isn't built on trophies or media narratives. It's built in those battles where nothing is given and everything is earned. Iverson's voice confirmed what his peers already knew. Kobe Bryant wasn't just a rival, he was the ultimate test, the benchmark of greatness, and the opponent who carved his name into the respect of legends. For many younger fans, Kobe Bryant lives on as a constant highlight reel. The impossible fadeaways over two defenders, the buzzer beaters that silence hostile arenas, and the storybook finale where he scored 60 points in his last NBA game. Those images are unforgettable, but they're only the surface of what Kobe's legacy truly represents. To understand his impact, you have to see him through the eyes of those who faced him. His peers, the ones who guarded his jumpers, felt his elbows in the lane, and endured his unrelenting competitiveness, carry the real testimony. That's why Allen Iverson's perspective hits so hard. When Iverson, himself the fearless answer who never backed down, admitted that Kobe was his toughest matchup, it reframed Kobe's legacy as something bigger than championships or statistics. It defined him as basketball's ultimate test of will. Kobe's career stretched across 2 decades, long enough for him to battle 3 distinct generations of stars. In the late 1990s, he was the bold teenager taking on legends like Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, and Reggie Miller. By the early 2000s, he was co-architect of a dynasty alongside Shaquille O'Neal, showing that he wasn't just Shaq's sidekick, but a force who could control games in his own right. And in the late 2000s into the 2010s, Kobe evolved again, this time as the elder statesman, outworking and outmaneuvering younger stars like LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Kevin Durant. Few players in history dominated across so many eras. That kind of longevity doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from discipline, obsession, and a relentless refusal to accept anything less than greatness. Iverson's words shine a light on the part of Kobe's greatness that box scores don't capture. Yes, Kobe finished his career with over 33, 0 points, 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, and a league MVP. But what opponents remember most isn't the accolades, it's the preparation that created them. Kobe was infamous for his tireless work ethic, hours in the gym before dawn, late-night shooting sessions, relentless film study. Teammates and rivals alike told stories of Kobe drilling the same move hundreds of times until it was flawless. For Iverson, a player whose own career was fueled by grit and obsession, Kobe represented the one opponent who matched and often surpassed him in sheer dedication. That's why Iverson's acknowledgement carries so much weight. It's not just respect, it's recognition from someone who understood the grind firsthand. Kobe also redefined what competitiveness meant. For him, it wasn't simply about winning games, it was about domination. He didn't just want to outscore you, he wanted to break your confidence, to make sure you knew there was no path to victory while he was on the floor. Iverson, who prided himself on fearless attacks at the rim, understood the psychological strain of facing Kobe. Every possession was a war, every mistake punished. That pressure wasn't limited to rivals. Kobe's own teammates often admitted they were just as tested by his intensity in practice. He demanded perfection from everyone around him because he demanded it from himself first. Beyond the stats and championships, Kobe's legacy lives in the generations he inspired. The Mamba mentality became more than a phrase, it became a blueprint for greatness. NBA stars like Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Devin Booker openly credit Kobe for shaping their approach to the game. But his influence stretched far beyond basketball. Athletes from Serena Williams to Tom Brady cited his relentless mindset as fuel for their own dominance. In business, education, and personal growth, Kobe's ethos of preparation, resilience, and obsession became a universal lesson. Iverson's respect makes all of this feel complete. Here was a player known for never bowing to anyone, admitting that Kobe was the one who pushed him to his limits. That truth reframes Kobe's story. His legacy isn't just about Lakers banners or personal milestones. It's about how he forced greatness out of everyone who shared the floor with him. In that sense, he wasn't just a Lakers icon. He became the measuring stick of competitive fire itself. Kobe Bryant's story will always be told in championships, highlights, and unforgettable moments. But the truest measure of his legacy lies in the respect etched into his rivals. When Allen Iverson, the fearless warrior, calls Kobe his toughest test, it cements Kobe as more than a legend. It secures him as the purest embodiment of competitiveness the game has ever seen. And that is why Kobe's legacy will never fade. Allen Iverson's revelation tells us something powerful about greatness. It isn't always about raw numbers, MVP trophies, or highlight reels. It's about the impact you leave on those who battled you night after night. For Iverson, the answer, the fearless warrior Kobe Bryant, was the ultimate question, the one opponent who forced him to his limits and beyond. And that's the greatest respect any player can give. But now, the question shifts to you. When you think about Kobe Bryant's legacy, is it the 5 championships, the unforgettable highlights, or the way he struck fear and respect into even the toughest rivals like Iverson? Drop your thoughts below, because debates like this are what keep legends alive. And if this was Kobe through Iverson's eyes, imagine how many other hidden stories are still waiting to be told. Stick around, because this journey into the minds of NBA legends is only just beginning.